Today we're talking about how you can drive sales with YouTube. Is it worth your time? Is it worth your money? We're also going to be giving you some tips and tricks on what you need to do to make the most out of your YouTube channel and videos. And today I'm joined by a good bunch of friends. Dane Golden over here, Tom Martin over here, and an up-and-coming YouTube automotive sensation all the way from Louisville, Kentucky. Please help me welcome the Chevy Dude Mike Davenport. So if you're in business in the automotive sector, or even in retail for that matter, and you're stuck on the fence about YouTube, it's really important to understand a few of the basics to get you on the right track. And that's what we're going to be giving you today. I'm Tolis Dokianos with Apex Video Marketing, all the way from Zurich, here in Los Angeles today with these amazing guys. I'm an automotive expert, video marketing expert, multilingual video marketer. And what we're going to do before we get started, I want to give a shout out to the people who made this live stream possible, Cinamaker. They help take you from one single camera setup to a multi-camera setup and make live streaming a breeze. So let's get started. Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started with YouTube and why.
Like you said, I'm based out of Louisville, Kentucky. I'm a Chevy car salesman. And I got started with YouTube because I moved to Louisville, Kentucky from a town 4 hours away from Louisville and didn't know anybody in Louisville, so I thought that it was going to be a way that I could get known locally in Louisville and sell some cars. Okay,
so awareness was a really important part of your strategy. Okay, why YouTube?
I don't know, really I don't know. I started doing, other social media, Facebook, and it just seemed like YouTube was there. And really what happened was in 2013, Chevrolet came out with a brand new Corvette, and all the community was sitting there and bad-mouthing a feature on the car. And because I work for a Chevy dealership, I can't go onto the Corvette forum and post. They want me to be a paid person to post on there. So I was like, I'll just make a video on YouTube, and that was one of my first videos. Is like how to close the deck lid of a 2014 Corvette Stingray, and that video is still up, and it still does really well today. And so I did that without any SEO either. That's so old I haven't SEO'd it. So that's what I did, and that video just took off. And it was like an epiphany. I'm like, whoa. And so dabbled in it, for several years, not knowing what I was doing, and here I am today.
Were you camera shy before you got started? How did that work out?
Yeah, very camera shy. Yeah, so all my videos had the word in it. I was doing a lot of ums. I'm not a script type guy. I'm a very type person that likes to ad lib, show what I know, share what I know on a probably more personal level than a scripted level. I've never scripted anything out in my life. So that's what I did, and with not having a script, I would sit there and do because I'm sitting here thinking. So I had to get that out of my system, and I still do it a little bit today, but nowhere near what I did back then.
So have you actually noticed a change in the way your own personal business has been performing, or rather, you work for a business, so you're a salesperson. Working in a dealership. Presumably, the dealership is happy with what you're doing. And so, have you noticed results in terms of financial gain compared to where you were before you started with YouTube?
So financially, my year-to-year income is usually pretty consistent, but my sales are much easier. So it does allow me to, sell my product without negotiating, which is fairly hard to do in the car business, because I do have that trust, and people know they're going to be taken care of. And I think a lot of times what people realize is, hey, listen, I'm willing to pay a profit, I'm willing to pay a premium for great customer service. And I go back to a waiter or waitress, right? We tip based off of how well we think they do their job, and that's their income, right? If we have a great waiter, waitress, we tip well. If not, might leave a penny, or not even give them a tip at all. So
let me ask you a really important question. How many cars did you sell last year?
Oh man, I don't ever tell anybody that number.
All right,
it's a high number.
It's a high number.
Yeah.
So if you were to take a look at your year-on-year sales, so since you started using YouTube as a driver to get you new leads, I guess, and conversations going to get bums on seats, what was actually your comparison year on year in terms of percentage, maybe?
So I've always gone up. I've always gone up, and right now, currently in the automotive market, the auto market is kind of plateauing because since 2010, we've done nothing but go up, 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 up. So you can't increase year over year 10 years in a row, right? Sure. So right now we're on a plateau, and our sales are down a little bit, but mine are staying steady. I'm not losing any business. Gaining a little bit here and there, but like I said, it's just easier sales, and
you don't have to negotiate. I'm sorry to interrupt, Tolis. But how much would any of us give to just make the sale and not have to negotiate because you've already done essentially the pre-negotiation by building that trust?
Yeah, and I give everybody.
That's right.
I give everybody a fair price, right? So my dealership is pretty much a no negotiating dealership, anyways. But if there's room, which the car that I will change the online price is the Corvette, because I sell more Corvettes than anything, and I always come out and say, I'll do this price. Don't worry about online pricing. I'll do this right here.
So what I'm hearing here is, first of all, you've got a passion for what you're doing. So. Your passion comes through in the way you make your videos. It's probably one very important things. Secondly, you're like a 24-hour salesman with your videos, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you're giving the information that people need when they're on the customer journey, looking for the car that you want to buy. And I think, Dane, you mentioned it was spot on. You're creating that confidence and that authority, if you will, and trust. I think that's the biggest thing here, right?
Well, who doesn't trust a car salesman when they walk in the lot?
Yeah.
But the fact that he's on YouTube really helps you. And I think you mentioned that in passing, that by doing what you're doing, actually, that trust and credibility factor is what's lacking in the automotive industry, especially when it comes to sales of used cars, right?
Yeah, so and that's what I tell a lot of people is, like, I don't clickbait my videos because I'm already behind. I feel that I'm already behind the 8 ball with my profession, right? I'm obviously based off of reviews from people who are buying cars that are away from the dealership, writing reviews on me and my dealership. We're an ethical and honest dealership, and there's many of them out there. Most dealerships nowadays are very ethical and very honest because social media is a determining factor. But yeah, having it out there, people just gain a sense of trust when they can see stuff going on there. So I don't clickbait because the fact that if I clickbait, then the common denominator would be, oh, you're just another car salesman. You just look at this, you know.
Tom, you're from the UK. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in all this. And
yes, my backing band are here. Sorry, my support band. So I'm more from the entertainment industry. So working with media brands. So sales were less of a priority. We were mainly making money through advertising, and it's really attention and eyeballs. But we did have quite a lot of licensed product to sell. So working on brands like Doctor Who, Top Gear, very big automotive brand. Yeah,
absolutely.
Selling tickets to live events, home video, merchandise. And so that was, and we actually sat in the marketing division. So it was seen as a marketing function of the business. Like, it was doing very well in terms of generating revenues. But really our first duty was to market the TV shows and the products around that. And I was running that network of channels for 5 years at the BBC, and in that time, we generated billions of views, millions of subscribers, lots and lots of revenue, and then in turn, lots of awareness for the shows that we were trying to promote and the brands, which then allowed us to sell tickets, DVDs, T-shirts.
So in brief, you're a YouTube certified expert.
Very brief, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, I mean, you're from the United Kingdom.
But don't hold that against me.
Not at all. I mean, I used to live in the UK, worked for Ford Motor Company in the UK, so I know it very well. And here we got Mike from Louisville, Kentucky. How well would what Mike is doing right now on YouTube translate across markets in the United Kingdom, for example?
I think it'd be fantastic. I don't think we have that kind of personality, especially in the kind of business area of YouTube. I struggle to think of anyone in the UK that would be comparable to what Mike's doing. We do have a lot of automotive channels, but again, that's more people trying to make their own Top Gear.
exactly
on YouTube.
So if you were to compare something like a Top Gear to what Mike is doing on YouTube, what are the benefits, and how could someone emulate what Mike is doing?
I wouldn't want to kind of belittle how much work and effort Mike's putting in, but pretty easily, if depending on the industry. Obviously, it's going to take a lot of hard work, effort, resource, time. You know, Mike's got a full-time job, obviously, but he's also filming, editing, planning, strategizing. Yeah. Then you've got the whole upload part, SEO. But I think the benefits are really clear. You know, that know, like, and trust factor. They're just so important, especially in sales.
So that goes back to one of the things that I first learned when I worked for Ford. You'd see it everywhere with the Henry Ford signatures. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So that's very important when it comes to producing videos. So Mike, is that your experience as well?
Yeah, you definitely have to definitely plan ahead, you know, and it's been a learning curve for me over the years to sit here and learn this. I mean, it really took me from 2012 when I started getting on YouTube. You know, a year later, it was like August 2012, and then like September, October time 2013 before I made that Corvette video that got some traction. And you know, here we are 2019, and I mean, it was last year before, you know, my channel took off. So you know, we're talking 2012 to 2018, you know. And
so what's keeping others from doing the same thing as you are?
I get asked that question all the time because I go to automotive conferences and I talk about what I've done and how to do it, right? I'm literally putting a game plan out for people to emulate me and copy me and really overtake me, right? Do better than me, right? Because I have all this learning curve that I have nobody teaching me how to do this for automotive space and for car sales. So I go out there, and that's a question, like, why are you telling everybody their secrets? And because unfortunately the automotive sector has a lot of lazy people in it, and they don't want to work. So they would rather, the automotive sector, in my experience, they would rather sit around at a table with 3, 4, 5 guys and play Candy Crush or whatever games they have on their phone, watch non-productive YouTube videos or Vines or whatever, TikToks, and rather than trying to protect or make their trade better, right? Train themselves, stuff like that. So I've always been one to, you know, spend money on training courses, you know, stuff like Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, you know, watch stuff like that in my downtime. So that was another reason I started YouTube, is because I could sit around in that group, which I call a 6-car club, which you can Google it, get that terminology. And then I can sit around in that club, or I can be productive. And I found that, hey, I can shoot video and upload it and be productive that way rather than sit.
So what I'm hearing here also, what I like about what you're talking is collaboration. Like, here we are, we're all here at VidSummit in 2019 here in Los Angeles, and you know, you got Tom and Dane will get to you in just a moment because we want to know a bit more about you as well. But what we're doing is we're collaborating here, we're sharing experience, we're all working together as a team so everyone can be successful, and that's what's really great. So that's something that would be very well to do if we did that in the automotive industry as well.
And you kind of maybe just hit it on the head. The automotive sector, when I came here last year for the first time, I'm used to being in automotive for almost 20 years now. And in the United States, for sure, automotive, everybody wants to one-up each other. Everybody wants to pound their chest and say, I did this, and not give credit and stuff like that. So, and I think that's a holdback for some people in automotive, is they don't want to help others. They want to do it for themselves. And that's a big difference when I came to VidSummit. It is very, automotive is very, very competitive. And when I came here, I was shocked at how open everybody was to help one another. And you go into a session and it wasn't a pitch to, hey, do business with me, but it is an automotive. When you go into an automotive conference and you're sitting there watching somebody do a session, you can see that it's underlying, like, hey, you should do business with us, you know.
So yesterday, Tom, you made an awesome presentation where you basically audited Mike's channel in front of a big audience. We'll get to that in just a moment, but what I wanted to ask a little bit more about Dane. Dane, tell us a little bit more about what you do and how you help businesses.
Right, well, we help businesses that are interested in taking a tutorial video approach to their marketing, and that's exactly what Mike is doing. And our company, I'll just say it's vidiup.tv, vidiup.tv. But I want to talk about Mike's example, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know we're short on time. he's talking about how the auto industry is not doing this, but there are mavericks like Mike in other areas, in cooking, in we've seen people here in plumbing, in just all sorts of trades. Drywall, believe it or not, hundreds of thousands of views.
And they're all small businesses as well, with small budgets.
But these are people who are looking for business and had a skill and wanted to share. They have something in them that wants to help, not sell. And that's what we talked about at another conference, VidCon. I gave a presentation called Help, Don't Sell. And that's exactly what Mike is doing. I haven't looked at all his videos, but in the example that he's given about the Corvette, was it a hood that was hard to close?
The deck lid, the trunk,
Deck lid, okay. And people need to know this. I did some research for another company where we looked at all of the YouTube influencers for automotive worldwide. And one of the most popular videos we saw at the time was an old video shot on a terrible phone camera about how to start a Prius if the battery had gone out on your key fob. You think about it, that's a problem that somebody has, and they need to solve it right now because they're stranded. They're looking on their phone how to solve a problem, and this one person has given it to them. Who do you think they're going to go to? It's it's that person who's shown them and helped them with something they need and not giving them a hard pitch.
So I really like what I'm hearing here. I think one of the most important messages, because I talk to a lot of businesses on a daily basis, and a lot of people are afraid of getting into YouTube because they need to have everything perfect, or everything's got to be spot on, But what we notice in a lot of the other participants here at VidSummit, even Mike's doing it really well, is you got to, in my opinion, you got to do it consistently. You need to continuously generate content that's going to help people. And I really like what you said. You want to sell by helping, so to speak, but you want to help first, and then
that's more accurate. I always say help, don't sell, because that gets attention, but it's really help first to sell later.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head. So when I started creating these videos in 13 and 14 and 15, my goal was not to sell cars. My goal was to help people. But the underlining goal was in 2019, when the new 2020 Corvette is introduced, to sell a lot of those cars. And I sold 175 in one night.
You sold 179 Corvettes.
And how many YouTube videos did you need to make that sale? Or that performance?
500.
Okay.
So let me ask you this. Because over the years, everybody watched me. I mean, I literally made a video how to set properly in the Corvette because I'm in all these Facebook groups and people are complaining about things. And again, I can't go to the Corvette forum because they want $800 a month, and it's not feasible for me to pay that. So so I sat there and it's just I'll make my videos based off of what I see people wanting and complaining about. And if like in a Corvette, you could rub the edge of a seat and cut it, and because of the side bolster. So I just here's how you set in a Corvette.
And I want to interrupt here because if it's okay, because I believe there are people in each industry. Everyone watching here is in a different industry where they want to help someone. They got into this business. Yeah, they want to make money, but they're doing this particular job because they want to help somebody learn what they know how to do in that particular type of job. And there are people all over the world who want to do that. And Mike is showing by example in a sell business that helping actually helps you sell.
Yeah,
I think that's a very powerful message.
A car salesman can do it who is very low on the totem pole of people they trust. Anybody can do it.
So Tom, go for it.
Yeah, I think as well, it's probably the #1 tip that I give, because although I worked in the entertainment industry, I've worked with a lot of brands and companies that do sell, and their purpose of being on YouTube is to sell products. And the #1 tip that I give them is that you need to, when you create a video, you need to create a video to deliver value so that if the mention of your product was removed, it would still deliver value. So if Mike was giving a talk about, how to sit properly in the Corvette, if he never mentioned that he was a car salesman or that he worked for his particular dealership, that viewer would still be able to get that exact same value from that video. Because what a lot of times companies will just, instead of running a channel, they will just run what I would like to just call like a repository for their adverts. And that is not a video.
That happens all the time, doesn't it?
That's not a strategy.
And if you watch
that's just a broadcast.
Particularly in automotive, it happens.
Yeah, if you watch my videos, I don't say where I work. People will research and
I feel sorry if you ever were to leave your dealership, because what you're doing is you'd be taking your own brand name wherever you decide to go, and people will trust Mike Davenport, the Chevy Dude.
They trust our dealership too, because people come in and sit there and we're like, well, I think Mike's too busy, so but I came here because of Mike, you know. And they'll come up and talk to me after they buy their car and say, hey, I just want to say thank you so much, and maybe because they were there for an hour or 2 hours watching.
Do the other salespeople thank you?
Yeah, they get it.
They do to some degree, don't they? Yeah, which is great.
They do. So
I mean,
we get along really well.
One of the key things, and Dane, I think you'll be one of the first people to actually agree with me on this, is I always say to my clients that YouTube is called YouTube for a reason, because it's all about the viewer. It's all about adding value to you, the viewer. And Dane's actually done some research. You might want to look into that about the word "you" being used in videos. But ultimately, it's all about creating the value for the user, right? So that's why I think YouTube as a platform is so powerful for businesses, big and small. And I'm amazed at just how many big businesses don't get it right. But I think there's a lot of things that people can learn from a creator like Mike Davenport. And I just want to close off this afternoon, or today rather, with, depends on what time zone you're in. You gave a really great presentation yesterday, Tom, and you pointed out a lot of important things that people who are making videos and managing YouTube channels for their businesses. Do you want to kind of leave us with a few golden nuggets before we finish up today?
I think the most important tip that I can give to businesses, again, especially businesses that are being over promotional, is that their first instinct is going to get people to go to their .com or a landing page or get this free download. But the problem with that is, especially when you're in that initial growth phase of growing a channel, is the more that you send people away from YouTube, the more YouTube are going to stunt your growth, because they're delivering you traffic and you're sending their traffic away from YouTube. And they want people to stay on YouTube so that they can serve more ads, collect more data. So you need to give YouTube what they want, especially in that growth phase. Keep people watching more videos, just keep delivering value, and then eventually they'll visit your .com by osmosis, or you might get to the end of like a series of 5 videos and then say, now go and visit ChevyDude.com.
So I always say it's a marathon, not a race. You got to be in it for the long haul, especially when you're dealing with YouTube. And that's why 1,000 subscribers is one of the key milestones that I also tell my subscribers or my clients. You really want to put a lot of effort in that first leg of your productions on videos, because once you reach 1,000, a lot of stuff can unlock for you on YouTube. But that makes you diligent. It makes you be consistent with your content that you upload on a regular basis. You have the opportunity to look at the analytics of the videos and how they're performing, so you can make all the tweaks necessary, so that when you get to that 1,000 mark of subscribers, then you got a following of people who are actively watching you, who can be your ambassadors, and then they come through your doors and they want to ask about buying a car, not once, maybe they'll come back again after a couple of years to buy a car from you. Mike, what parting tips would you like to leave people who are in the automotive industry, but to that extent also in retail? What parting tips would you want to leave our viewers with today?
The biggest tip that I can give someone is create value in yourself to have people not buy something from you.
Okay.
You know, sit there and create content that self-serves them, that down the road they'll be like, hey, listen, I'm not in the market right now, but I want to be in the market with this person later on.
Awesome.
You know, and I get every single day, middle of the night, whatever case, like, hey man, I just really appreciate your videos. Next time I'm in the market, I'm going to be with you, or
so that's
people
the
make
trust
comments.
Element right there, right?
So you just create stuff that gives them a purpose of why they're there, and have them come back. And then when they're in the market, it's an easy transition. That's how you create loyalty.
Perfect. Dane, any parting thoughts?
Well, you did mention the study we did about the you in YouTube.
Yeah.
And saying the word you can get you 66% more views if you say it in the first 5 seconds. Why is that? It's because each video is about the viewer, you looking at me right now. It's about you. It's not about us. It's about you. And if you can make your videos about the viewer and what they want and what they need, you will succeed.
So Dane, tell us, where can people find out more about what you do, and where can they follow you?
Go to vidiup.tv, vidiup.tv.
Perfect. Tom, what about you?
Yeah, you can find me and all of my services at channelfuel.co. That's .co.
Okay, great. And Mike?
Just Google Chevy Dude.
Just Google Chevy Dude.
Chevy Dude.
Awesome.
It's a strong. That's strong. When you can sit there and just say, "Just Google me," you'll
that
find
is
me.
really true.
That's just something that people in the automotive love. They're like, "How do I find you?" Just Google me.
Google me. I think that's a really powerful thing, and I think at the end of the day, I really encourage you to go and watch some of Mike's videos on his YouTube channel, because there's a lot of useful information, and if anything, it's a great example of what the automotive market can do to promote their brand, locally, nationally, regionally. If you got someone like Mike on your team, definitely look at his videos, learn from them, because finally, yes, it's all about making money. We're all looking forward to making money today, tomorrow, and meeting our sales targets or what have you. But if you're in it for the long haul, and if you're adding value to people and really giving them the information that they need when they're in market for a car or whatever other product or service they're looking for, it's down to offering that sort of value so they can make an informed decision and have an open and engaging conversation with the likes of Mike or even ourselves, So Tom, Dane, thank you very much for being here. You're great friends. We've been around for a long time. Mike, it's great getting to know you this time at VidSummit. I'm Tolis Dokianos with Apex Video Marketing. You can find more information about my services and what we do at apexvideomarketing.com, on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Thanks for paying attention to this video. We really appreciate your support. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and stick around for more in the weeks to come.